It's always fun when you take your first whooping of the year. I don't care how many of them you've been through. It makes it for an uncomfortable 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever it is between games. But yeah, I wanted to learn from our team this week, which I knew going in that Boston presented a different animal than what we've played against because of the makeup of their team, the age of their team, the talent of their team, and the winning culture of their team. And they had been exposed to playing a game at Vermont, which it's a conference rival. That's a conference that's dominated by those two schools. And I know how hard it is to play at Vermont. I lived it. And they went up there and, like they always do, went nose to nose in a heck of a game. And I think you guys saw what Vermont did at Virginia. I think it was the same night we were playing BU. Those are quality teams that we fought, but just weren't. We weren't tough enough to overcome our lack of shot making. So it allowed our energies and our enthusiasm to be zapped. And you can't beat those kind of teams unless you're out of your feelings, meaning that when the ball don't go in for you, you can't change the energy and the disciplines that you play with on the defensive side.
Frank, after watching the film against Boston, was there one defensive principle that was the most lacking that you guys have worked on the most since?
No, just I thought all the guys that we played at the 4 and 5, other than Mike Kotsar, did not play particularly well. You're playing against a team that, you know, their big guy, I'm pretty sure he's a fifth-year senior. White is a 19-point-a-game guy that's a matchup problem for people, who's a third-year guy. And they attacked us through there. And I think we put up a fight for a while, but as the game evolved, I don't think we had enough toughness at the rim. And then we just didn't make shots. I mean, I don't mean to simplify things, but when you got a young, group of guys that are still impacted with seeing the ball go in the rim, it's and you go 4 for 22 and you miss 9 free throws, 4 for 22 on threes, you allow that to impact the disciplines and how hard you got to play defensively. And we didn't do that. And crucial part of the game, whether we had played good, bad, indifferently, whether we made shots, missed shots, whatever it may be, at 60-60, and we give up back-to-back. We get called on a over-the-back foul. They keep possession. They shoot it again, and we give up an offensive rebound for a kick-out three. And those are the plays that you the game in the balance. They just beat us to the ball, and then we came down, and our guy shoots a wide open three and misses. And I wish I can give you a better answer, but it's the first time we go through this with this team. So, like I've told you guys, this week's gonna be a big thing for me as far as maybe understanding our guys a little bit better.
Frank, kind of sticking with that last statement there, did you see what you wanted to from your team yesterday, and what do you kind of anticipate energy's like Friday?
Yeah, I don't know if I saw what I wanted to see from them, but I don't think they saw what they wanted to see from me. And, we had a couple guys that still walking around with their feelings hurt, and I'm not real good with people that walk around with their feelings hurt. We all have a job to do, and we have a responsibility to each other to come in every day and help one another. And anytime you walk around, I don't know about you, Colin, but Nothing drives me battier than I'll walk by somebody say, "Hey, how's your day going?" I'm like, "Man, get away from me." You know, we all got our problems. Get away from me. You know, we had some of that yesterday. So not too much, just some. And but I thought Kotsar, who I was frustrated with 2 weeks ago because he just, I don't know what happened after having a great preseason. I thought he was real good against Boston University. I thought he wore down, and after watching the film, it reaffirmed it to me. He just wore down, man. He's fighting those guys by himself. But he was phenomenal yesterday in practice. I thought Justin Minaya had his best practice of the year yesterday. AJ was pretty good. So we had a fairly good practice. It was more teaching than anything else. It wasn't about yelling at people and making guys run. It was about teaching and just demanding that we understand that we got to be a little bit better at what we did, myself included, headed into the last game. We can't come in here and pout and mope and cry and have our feelings hurt and have droopy eyes. Who's that helping? You can stay in your room and do that. Don't come share that one with us.
Frank, obviously you never want to take a loss, but is it good maybe to get some of these or this loss, that type of loss, out of the way early in the season?
No, I don't. I've never understood that logic that losing helps. I've never been in a locker room where you lose a game and you address the team and you get in your car and you're driving home that night and you're like, you know what, we're gonna be better now. I've never understood that logic. I've shared this before and I'll share it again because I reflect. Anytime I'm going through stuff, I reflect on my life, what it's taught me to try and figure out how to handle things. But if I only taught on the days that we lose games, then when I was in a classroom, I should only teach the people that fail an exam. And anytime you do that, you're doing a disservice to people. Our job is to teach every day. Our job is to have an enthusiasm for getting better every day. And I don't handle losing and winning differently. To me, it's the next day. I learned that lesson a long time ago. I used to be full of what and vinegar after losses, and I realized, what's that fixing? Because if our guys are practicing the right way and someone beat us, you got to go deal with it. Wake up the next day. If you're lucky to have the opportunity to do it again, do it better. And, I'm very careful publicly on never giving the other opponent the credit it deserves. There's a big difference between losing and getting beat. Big difference. And privately, I share with our team all the time whether we got beat or whether we lost. I don't like sharing that publicly because I don't ever want to disrespect the opponent. Their coaches collect a paycheck. They work real hard at recruiting. They run practices, and their players play really hard. So I'm into my team, not the other team. And but I just think you learn from your team every day, and this is a different set of emotions when you lose that you got to manage. I knew this when I had Carrera, Sendarius, all those guys, and I keep referring to those teams because it's the only time since I've been here that I've had an old team. And you can say that's my fault, whatever. It is what it is. I get it, but it's the only time. I knew the day after a loss, I didn't have to come in here and motivate. Those guys have been through it. They understood. They led. We don't have that on our team right now. So going through this is good for us from that standpoint, from me to understand them.
You kind of touched on it right there, but you were kind of disappointed with how vocal your team was at the end of the Boston game. Did you learn anything about any of those guys in practice these last couple of days, or do you not find that out until the next time that your team's in that situation in a game on the court?
Both. I thought, like in practice yesterday, Seventh is a real quiet person. But I heard his voice constantly in practice yesterday. Mike Kotsar was great. Justin was great. AJ was okay with his voice, but I thought he practiced for a guy that played 38 minutes the night before, him and Kotsar, they both practiced with a lot of get up and go. Whether they made mistakes or not in practice, that's irrelevant. They brought an energy and enthusiasm to practice that you got to have. But you learn about how guys handle those moments. I mean, you guys were at the game. Some guys stay in this room and take a nap during games, but you guys are at the game. If you were paying attention to the game, they move you guys around so much. I don't know where you guys sit anymore. But if you're paying attention to the game, the later that game got, you heard the BU players nonstop. And if you can tell me what player on our team you guys heard, it's one more than I heard. So that was, for me, a problem. And that's a problem that we have to address and fix. And was it a one-time thing? I don't know. We'll find out here tomorrow because we play another real good basketball team, and we have to be better in that department than we were the last time that we were faced, in a predicament. 60-60 game with 6 to play. Who cares who you're playing? Whether it's the Lakers or freaking my junior high team. Who cares who you're playing? You got 6 minutes to go and it's 0-0. You got to go out and play your best ball. We didn't do that.
Come off of last year, especially toward the end, I know that Chris really emerged as a leader, as a guy that you talked about, and his voice was always there. Mm-hmm. Knowing who you had coming back, was there a concern at all about, was anybody else really talking a whole lot during that stretch, and that gave you any kind of concern about what you had to learn about this team coming back?
Yeah, it's been my not a concern, but my fact discovery mission that I've been on since we decided to start this year as a team back in September, whatever it was, our first workout was real practice, not just those. I'd never understand how people can call spending 2 hours a week with someone in the gym like productive, but it is what it is. We call that individual instruction, and somehow, some way, we're supposed to understand something about somebody. Spending 2 hours a week with them, I can fool you guys in a lot of different ways for only 2 hours a week. But once you start actual everyday practice, you start getting a feel, and that's been what I'm trying to find. I got two. We had a core guys that were on that team last year. That as the year went on, I thought they handled their business tremendously, which allowed us to win games. And the two guys that coming back that I thought played the most minutes, that had the best opportunities to fill in those roles, Mike and AJ, they're very quiet as people. And Dwayne Notice was very quiet. Which allowed his leadership style of, you felt Dwayne. You can be blindfolded, and without him talking, you felt him in practice because you felt an energy the way he played. We've got to figure that out because those two guys are fine in how they do it, but we need some other guys to step up and share. In the different, because leadership's all different. It's not like all the same way. I've talked to you guys about Michael Carrera before. He wanted to lead since his first year, but he always wanted to lead with his voice, but he didn't necessarily understand what we were doing. You can't be loud with your voice and be dysfunctional with how you play. Your voice becomes null and void. And as he got older, he started to connect all those things together, then his voice became powerful. And so we got to figure all that out right now. I'm searching really hard, and I don't believe in assigning people. I spend time with players. Justin brings a great spirit, but he's overcoming a knee injury, and that's going to take time. It is what it is. That's the way the world works.
Frank, if I could ask you to look ahead a little bit since we don't get you until after the game, but going to Cancun, playing Wichita, maybe get to play West Virginia and Hugs. What's your relationship like with Greg Marshall, with you guys in Kansas for a bunch of the same years? And then, of course, if you do get to play Hugs, how tough will that be?
Yeah, I mean, Greg is phenomenal at what he does. I mean, and what he has built, rebuilt, because Wichita State's been good for under several coaches and good at a high level, whether it was Gene Smithson years with the obvious Xavier McDaniels, or it was later on with Mark Turgeon, and they were a Sweet 16 team. And then over the years, they've always been good. And then you take what Greg has done, and he's real good. And obviously, he's a Greenwood native. You'd have to call him, but I'm pretty sure he still wakes up and reads the local newspaper every day. His teams play very disciplined basketball, very physical basketball. So we've got to be really good in that game. We're going up against one of the. I don't know what number to put into it. So I don't kind of look at it this way, but I got to think their level of success over the last. I've been here 8 years now. Over the last 9 years, my last year at K-State, my obviously 8 years here, is right up there with the top 15 programs in the country or somewhere in there, from a one-loss standpoint and all those things. So, that's going to be. That's going to be a hard game for us, which is good. It's I'm not into you guys thinking we're good. I'm into you guys believing that we're good when you report and write about our team. So we got to play the good teams, and then obviously, if we end up playing West Virginia the following day, the good thing about it is such a quick turnaround that I won't have a lot of time to kind of sit around and think about stories and relationships and all that other stuff. But it's like I told someone the other day, I don't enjoy doing it. We did it at K-State just to get Hugs back into the state of Kansas, and we actually played the game in Wichita. They made a 3 at the buzzer to send it to overtime, beat us in overtime. My team was better because we played his team. It was a difficult game to be a part of, but at the end of the day, I'm into my team growing and getting better. And anytime you play a Bob Huggins' coach team, your team is going to be better. So we might even break film together down if we're playing each other the night before. I'll criticize his team, he'll criticize mine. We'll both commiserate, be miserable human beings. Share some stories, make us both laugh, and wake up the next day and go figure out the game.
You put out some statements about them, but you signed 2 guys in this 2020 class, and Patrick and Javon. Just what are your thoughts on them, and how do you feel like they could maybe impact next year their careers here?
Unbelievably excited. They're both 17 years old, so they're both babies. In the world we live in today, where everyone's trying to hold their kids back, and guys are 19 years old as freshmen or whatever it may be, which is fine. I got no problem with that. I'm not criticizing. Those 2 guys are still extremely young. They both run. They're both agile. They both play for tremendous high school coaches. They both play in an environment where work, doing things the right way, and then being challenged to be a good teammate so you can help your team win happens every single day. They both live in structure. So all those things are real important to me. And then when you add the basketball component to it, I think, which is the advantage we have as people when we recruit locals, I've gotten to see those kids grow up. I've been here long enough now where guys that are in high school now, I've been watching them since they're 6th, 7th grade. And if you're trying to figure out how I watch a 6th, 7th grader play, it's because I got children too. So I end up in the same gym watching a lot of these guys play when they're kids. But to see where they were at as ninth graders and to see where they're at now is just ridiculous how much better they both are. They're both going to be 245, 50-pound guys when they're 21 years old. They both have great hands. They both have the ability to shoot, which means they can make free throws and make, 12, 14-foot jump shots. I think with experience, they both can make, threes from certain places on the floor, not be coming off screens and shooting fadeaway threes or whatever. And then they're both unbelievably competitive. Patrick is strong as an ox. Contact does not faze him. He's a relentless rebounder. Javon is 7'4" reach, which is what matters in the world of basketball. Huge hands. He's got deceptive athleticism. You don't realize how athletic he is until you actually see him in a competitive moment where he lets it out. And then the last part, I think they're both when you go around their high schools, everyone, whether it's teachers, principals, counselors, coaches, teammates, they rave about them. Those are the kind of people you want in locker rooms, people that others enjoy being around. And I think they're both going to be tremendous. And with the obvious fact that we've got two senior bigs, I thought that was a place of need for us moving forward.
Anything else for Frank?
Talked about Hugs. How have you guys, what's similar about, there's things that are obvious about how you guys play and your teams that are similar, but how have you two maybe individually have evolved since you've been on the same staff together? Obviously, he's added the whole Press Virginia style and stuff like that, but and what were your thoughts when he went to that mold? And I guess that was just kind of adapting to his roster and he stuck with it. And how do you think you've evolved from the teachings you got from him?
I think Hugs is the smartest person I've ever come across. And I don't say that sarcastically. I wholeheartedly mean that. And if you look at his career, he's won big at every school he's been at, playing different styles. He's not an ego guy. He's not into forcing people to play his way. He's going to make you compete now. He's not going to accept you ever. He doesn't let you ever take a day off. He doesn't ever allow you to feel that you're not good enough. I don't care how coaches do it. Any coach that can make people feel that they're good enough, to me, is a great teacher. And I don't care who's on his team. He can have 5 first-round picks or he can have 5 guys that look like me. There's not a single day in practice that you leave that practice thinking that you don't have a chance to win. He instills unbelievable confidence through work ethic in his players. And if you look, like I said, everywhere he's been, different styles, different, whether it's the old half-court trap that he used to have at Cincinnati when they were the big bad Bearcats that went to the Final Four with Corey Blunt and Eric Martin and all those guys, and Nick Van Exel. That half-court trap was just ridiculous. And then you turn around and, he ends up playing at K-State. I was with him. We didn't go. We didn't make a run. It was 1 year, but the way we defended there was completely different. We ended up playing point drop, the old North Carolina point drop zone. That was like changed our season. Then he goes to West Virginia, and he had a bunch of 6'7" guys on his team. They were all 6'7" across the board, and they had a little guard. And they end up playing with the little guard, 1-3-1 zone. And anytime they took him out, they'd play contain, switch all 5 spots like the old Louisville switching man-to-man. And then he becomes Press Virginia. It's just he's so smart. It's ridiculous how intelligent he is and his ability. See, he doesn't sit around. The reason a lot of people that don't know him don't comprehend how intelligent he is because he doesn't run around telling you what he knows. He runs around and helps other people understand how to succeed. And the ones that are around him every day feel that, appreciate that, and then you can really dive into his intellect and his thoughts to help you grow. He's still a source of, an unbelievable source for me. Whether I'm on the phone with him or I'm sitting in my office staring at the ceiling like I was yesterday morning. And I feel him, I hear his voice, and the fact that I grew up in a place where, like I've told you guys before, I never worried about what I didn't have. I was taught to understand what I do have. And my high school coach, Shaky Rodriguez, was like that. He had us always thinking that, a bunch of short little Cuban guys were good enough to play the Lakers with Magic and Kareem. And then I end up befriending this guy from Ohio, or he's originally from Morgantown, but he spent all his formative years in Ohio, and I end up befriending this guy who thinks along the same ways. And so I'll sit there a lot, and I just hear my high school coach's voice and his voice on how they're managing things and how they're communicating things to help me figure out how I want to communicate and manage things. And but having him in my corner has validated some of my personal opinions on how to manage, but allowed me to grow and continues to allow me to grow because I get to pick his mind. I get to, like he was managing some internal stuff with his team about a month ago. And we were talking, and he doesn't call me to tell me what he's managing, but he let me know he's trying to deal with some stuff within his team. And I saw his team play. You'd never know he was managing issues within his team. And that comes because he doesn't hide it. He fights that internally, and he demands that people do things a certain way. And that's where his greatness comes, man. He doesn't give up on people. That's I've said it before. The easy thing in life to do is to give up on people. To write them off when they make a mistake. The hardest thing to do is to get people to change and grow. And he doesn't give in, man. He makes you change. He makes you grow. And that, seeing him do it has given me confidence that because that's what I believe in, that I can do it too.
Frank, is there an updated timeline on when you think you might get Keyshawn back from that knee injury? And have you spent any time thinking about what that rotation is going to be like when he does ultimately come back?
Yeah, the rotation part, I know what it was like before he got hurt. After the injury, it's a knee injury, so he's never dealt with an injury before. I got no idea where he's going to be at. I know he was in a great place. He was defending at a high level. When he got hurt, he was making incredible playing with a more confident athleticism. I don't know if that makes sense or not, because being a more confident basketball player allowed his athleticism to be used even more. So I don't know where he's going to be at when he comes back from that standpoint. So we'll manage that whenever it gets here. But he's been fully cleared in the weight room, so he's in there squatting and doing all kinds of stuff. He was on the court yesterday just shooting jump shots. And then he's running on that treadmill where it's kind of weight bearing. I don't know what it's called. It's some fancy treadmill that you kind of put a girdle on, and it just kind of, you can control how much weight is actually being allowed on your legs when you run. But he was running on that yesterday. I don't know at what weight bearing, 50%, 60%, I don't know. But I think he's a little ahead of schedule, but I kind of leave that to, I'd like for our trainer to share ideas with me every once in a while, but I don't want him in my timeout telling me what ball play to run. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I kind of let Mark do his thing and kind of follow his lead a little bit. Thanks, guys.